Hey guys, from this video, you can steal my step-by-step process on how I run my 5-figure web design agency, Convert.com. And without further ado, let's get started. So as you can see on my screen, I have created a whole process on how I run my web design agency, and you can do that too. And I will be sharing an step-by-step process how you can do that. So first of all, we have projects starting. So before we start any project, you should understand that any business runs on sales. So if you don't have any projects or you don't have any clients, you make sure to work on the sales. You don't have to work on the process. So if you have sales, you have clients, and you are getting clients or projects, then you need a process, which I am sharing today with you. For getting clients, I have created videos and I will be creating more detailed videos about that as well. So that's for next video, but today let's talk about how you can run your agency. So first of all, we have projects started. So let's say we have projects started. Now we have to create a contract. Now for me, I don't create any contracts. So if you are on marketplaces like Upwork and Fiverr, they will handle that. But if you are working directly with your clients, I prefer advance payments. So it can be 20% or it can be 50% or it can be full advance payment, which is very sweet. Now you can do that. If client pays you upfront, it can be any amount, then it means that client is locked in, which means that client has created the contract. Now, some of the clients may ask for NDA. NDA is non-disclosure agreement, which means that they don't want you to share their website or their work on social media or any of your platforms online. They don't want you to share those informations, and they want it anonymous. So for that, they might ask you to create NDA. So that's it. Now if they pay you upfront, that's the contract for you. You don't have to do signing the documents, etc. Now the second part, we have the client onboarding. So the client onboarding means we want them to get on the team, get to know the team, and get on this software or tools that we use. So for communication, we use Slack. So you can invite them to Slack. And for project management, we use Trello. These are the best free tools that you can use for project management. You don't need to create your own app or your own communication tools. These tools provide everything that you need for you. If you go to premium version, they provide a lot of opportunities, but the Slack free and Trello free version can do all the work. So we use the Slack and Trello. So these are the best tools, one for the communication and one for the project management. Easy to understand and easy to manage. So these are the tools that I use, and I invite those clients to Slack and Trello. I create a different channel for them. If a client is an agency client, I create a workspace for them in each platform. If client is just for one project client, I create like Slack channel, and in Trello you can create a board. So that's what I do. Then the second part is to connect your client with your project manager, and you can connect them through maybe Slack with a communication tool. You can add them to Trello and all of these tools, and you can introduce them to all the other team members as well. I will recommend, if you are a beginner, like if you are just starting out your agency, I will recommend to communicate yourself with the client. It will be very better for the business. So make sure that you communicate mostly by yourself with the client. If you are scaling a lot, you are getting more clients, then you can add project managers. But at the beginning, you don't need project manager. You can just handle those by yourself. You can introduce them to other teams as well, but as you prefer. So these are two things that I do on onboarding. One is the Slack, Trello. The another thing is to connecting with the team. Now, the third part is that setting up. So basically, this is the part part for the owner or project and manager. As I also mentioned that this contract creating method is just for the owner process. The setup, now this is also for the project manager. Now this is very in detail process. Like I have shared exact things that a project manager should do, and you can do these exact things to avoid all of the other confusing things or anything that might not work. So these are things that works for me, and if you apply these, and you can then improve your process a lot. So first of all, we have Slack setup, right? So before onboarding, we have to create a private Slack channel. Then we can give a name which is related to the project name. Maybe it can be a website name. The second thing is that we can add a designer, developer, project manager, and the owner itself. So we have these four guys. We can also add a QA expert, but that can be done later. So this is the Slack setup. Create a channel, private channel, and add these team member and client to that channel. Then we have Figma setup, right? So the Figma, as we do custom designs for our client, if we first do UI UX, then we develop the website. So you can just first set up the Figma. So what we do is that I have created a template, and template means that I have created like maybe a branding setup, so that we can easily use that. For example, changing just the logo, colors, and everything. The branding guide and any other things that is very important in designing the website. So we use the template. We create different for the designer and for developer. You can just create one for the designer and developer, because now we have the dev tool in the Figma. Then we can create a template for clients. So make sure that Figma file is different for the client, so that it is very clean, it doesn't have any rough work, and the client don't have access to your original file. So make sure that you have different file for that. Then we have create a Figma file for presentation template for graphic designer. Now, whenever we have the project completed, we have a graphic designer. If you don't have a graphic designer, you can do it by yourself. It's not a much of work, but it can create a presentation. It's not necessary to create for the client, but you can create it to represent your project online on your website or on social media, which includes mockups and things like that. So you set up the Figma. Now we use WordPress. You can use Webflow, you can use Framer, anything that you prefer. You can use custom code, but we use WordPress, right? And if client don't have a staging site, it can. If they don't have a staging site, we can create our own staging site on our own hosting, and we can give them access, or we don't have to give them access, but we can create our own staging site. So creating a staging site on WordPress, we use Bluehost for the hosting. Let me know in the comments if you think that Bluehost is the best hosting provider on a temporary domain. So we can just create it on a temporary domain, and temporary domain means that very random number of the words for the domain, so that no one can access that domain, which is very best for the security. Now we have again, once you create the WordPress, now we can have, once you create that, you will have the X site URL, username, and password. This is for the developer to log in. We install the Hello Elementor theme. No any pre-made templates or themes. Hello Elementor, which is just simply a canvas, very simple theme, and we use that very basic and default theme. Then we use Elementor. We use Elementor page builder. So that's also the process that we have to install the Elementor, and we use CrocoBlock. So CrocoBlock is the all-in-one solution, which is works with the Elementor and WordPress. And believe me, if you are building websites and you are using Elementor, then CrocoBlock is the must. It's expensive, but it's must. So once you buy that, you don't need any kind of other plugins like add-ons, any kind of things like custom post types, custom fields, any kind of things. You don't even need Elementor Pro version. So that's how much important it is. So I have bought it. I have bought the lifetime license, and it's worth it. It's expensive now. How much expensive is this? Without sales, if you want lifetime access with unlimited things, it's like $99. $999. So that's it. We have to set up WordPress. Then we have a Trello setup. Again, we can create a card. In Trello, we have a process, web design, which I will show you each, I will create a specific video on that, on how you can create a process in Trello, Slack, everything. So we have a Trello. We can create a card. You can attach the Figma file that we created here to the Trello card. You can attach the staging site details that you have created here. You can attach that to the Trello card. All the necessary details that client has shared about the project, you can share that. Now, one thing I have missed here is that when you onboard client, like if you create a contract, what I will recommend is to create a form, right? In that form, add all of, it can be any kind of form, Google form or anything, but you can add all of the things that you think that is important, that you need from the client, and client can simply fill the form and you will have all the information, and you don't need to disturb the client every time for every kind of details or message the client. So that will be best. The goal is to make sure that client don't work, right? They are paying us so that they don't work and we work for them, and that's the main goal. So we want to make sure that client is stress free. And so this is the we all deadline for the project. That is the most important part, that is unnegotiable. So deadline for the project, make sure that you don't set impossible deadlines, like 1 week. So for example, if you are creating the amazing website, it will take at least a month. So every process has a week. I will be sharing that below. So make sure that it's a realistic deadline. Steps for the project with a checklist. Create a checklist. Make sure that every list is properly aligned for the project, so that every team member knows that now we have to do this. We have to do this. Adding designer and project developer to the card. You can add both to the card so that they know. So the designer, when design the website, they can notify the developer that design is ready for the development, and developer can work on that. Video about project details. Now this is for the owner. So for example, if you are communicating with the client, or project manager is communicating with the client, you can create a detailed video. Now this is very important. You can use Loom tool. Loom is a free tool, and you can create a 5-minute video for free on a free version. But it is very important tool that you can use. So creating complete video about the projects. Create a complete video about a project, that these are the things that clients. So what you are doing is that you are communicating all of the information that client has shared with your team, right? So let's say if you share about all of the information, you share anything that is necessary for the teams to know before starting any project, and you can add that link to Trello. So that was the Trello setup, right? The complete setup: Figma, WordPress, Trello, Vibe. Now, if you are using WordPress or Webflow, anything that will work for you as well. First draft. Now we are in the real game, which is designing the landing page, right? Don't just create the whole website first in the WordPress and share with the client. That is not the premium services do, right? If you want to provide a premium experience to the client, premium design to the client, premium, you are charging premium for the client. So you create a process for that, which is first you design the landing page, you get the approval from the client, which I will be sharing with you. So you can see that first draft, checklist for the first draft, web designer, style, landing page, wireframe. If you're an experienced person, I don't create wireframes, and you don't need to create as well. So wireframes are unnecessary. You can just jump right into landing page design. And landing page design, once the web designer designs the landing page in Figma, then then it's time to review by the team. So by team, I'm referring myself, project manager, and any other members, but I will refer to get involved all the team members so that they know in the next project what they have to do. Team review. So that's very important. Now we have client review. Now once the team reviewed the project, they made the changes, now you can send that to client. And here the client can review and share their feedback. So as you can see that here we have a team approval for the landing page. Here's a checklist: sharing the landing page with the team reviews, comment on the file, revision by the web designer, approval. So once the team approved, this is for the team. Then we have client. Now here the client's approved, like adding the landing page final version to the client Figma file. So we will add this landing page to client Figma file that we have created above. Then the client will add comments directly on Figma or anything that they prefer, but I show them how they can comment on the Figma, and that is very helpful. The comments on the Figma, then I pass that to the designer make the revisions, then I send back to the client, and it might go back and forth like version 2, 3, 4, 5, and the client approves, right? So once the client approves, then we have two options, right? Then we can start development of the landing page, or we can start the complete design of we can do both at same time, because we have a designer and developer different. So the developer can start the landing page development, and the designer can start the complete website design, like designing the other pages. So let's talk about the landing page development, right? So landing page development is like why we do simultaneously, because now we can share the landing page with the clients and they can see how this will look in real time, or how this will look after developed. So, or also it will save a lot of time. So if we do just complete design, then we do the landing page, it will take a lot of time. So that's a lot of savior. So here we have a development of the landing page, and here we have the complete website design. And you don't need to say to the client if you have the staging details or login details, then you can just start right away. If it's a redesign, then you have to think about that, because then like if you have a staging site, then that will not be an issue. So we have the checklist for the landing page development. So I have added all the details, like for example, we have checking login links and credentials if working. The credential that I have shared in the Trello, that is the first thing that they have to check. Removing all the default, like this is the now WordPress thing, but you can create that process for your Webflow or any other no-code solution. Removing all default plugins, removing and installing Elementor, removing all default themes and installing Hello Elementor, setting up global fonts and colors, setting up global headings, button, images, forms, disabling all the header footer site setting using Elementor, like top bar, default header, default footer, website setting like another favicon, changing website name, tagline, adding website logo, and more. These are the things that once done, then it is very easy to develop the rest of the website, like landing page and these things, and it is very easy to develop the whole website. Clearing all pages that are in Figma, just simply in the start to using headers menu, creating a pages to use in the menu. These are the few things that we do. If the font family is available, then we can install it or use custom feature using Elementor Pro. We use 1440 px width, box width, and you can use whatever you prefer. And here we have like a complete design. Same, we have designing all the pages regarding the landing page. Means that designing the landing page, we have landing page is approved, the style is approved. Now we just need to apply those style, maybe use most of the section that are in the landing page in the other website. So that can be very simple to do. Now we can see that guide for, I have also added some guide for web developer. Now these are the things that mostly web developer makes, and I make sure that these are not repeated again. So you can see that for section paddings, etc., how to export images from Figma, paragraphs, different QA tools, etc. So these are just guide for web developer, and you can use these or you can create your own, which is very important, right? Now here we send the complete website design to the client for approval, right? And again, team can approve the design. Once the team can approve, then we send it to client, and again we add it to the Figma file. Client adds Figma reviews or comments, and we can just pass it to the web designer. Then the web designer make revisions, and we pass it to we go to the full website development. Now we already have our landing page developed, which is like saved a lot of time while we have getting approval, getting clients feedbacks, getting client comments. That can take some time. So now we have full website development. Now here we can see that developer can start developing the complete website in staging site. So already have the landing page, so they can develop the other pages. We already have styles, global styles, header, footer, all of the things are set up. These are like, for example, these are some guidance that use SVG for vectors, and make sure that image size is less than 200 KB. Now any section that is repeated should be created as a template, so that we can use that in different pages, and if we make changes to one template, it will all of the sections will be updated. So that's a tip. Use code only if a plugin can't do the work. Okay, don't use code. We don't use any code. We make sure that design is very simple, because code is something that we want the website to be easily manageable and easily customizable for the client, right? You should know that our clients are more experts in WordPress and design than us, and we are best at design. They know how to use WordPress and etc. So we make sure that they can easily customize those animations. Now in the end, we can add animations like maybe fade in, fade out, fade up, these kind of animations to buttons, text, lists, etc. So that can give a beautiful touch. After that, now this is the important part. Now the website is developed. Now I know I wish that it could have been like perfect website, right? The developer has done his 100% work, but this doesn't work like that. Designers or developers or any person, like, they cannot be perfect. So we have the QA person who does the quality assurance of the website. So that's the most important part. I make sure that I do myself those things and add comments to the person who will, or developer who can make these changes. So these are just few things that I mentioned. Like there are whole list that we can add to this for making sure that QA, which I think I haven't included here. But there's a lot of things like buttons, links, hover effects, responsiveness, animations, functionalities, all of these things, right? Content, images. So these are all of the things that quality assurance can check. So this is now the part where the quality assurance add comments. Now for that we use Atharim. Atharim is the best tool in WordPress where you can add comments. Again, this is the final approval from the client. We send the whole website link to the client and ask their approval, and they can add any comments using Atharim. Submitting final milestone. So this is like saying that the website is ready with a link, and migrating website to client's domain. Now this is a part where like most of the client takes a lot of time. Like you submit the file, now this in the end they share feedback, like they take a lot of time on the feedback, but that's the part of the web design. So the client will add feedback, you do the revisions, you make the changes, they add more revisions, you make the changes, they add more revisions, and the process goes on like this. Then we can do migrating website to client's domain, right? So once client says, okay, that's completely fine, just migrate it. So it depends on the client. Some client will say just, okay, I trust you, just transfer it to my main domain or make it live, like publish the website. You do that, website is completely functional and working. Now it's time for the presentation, right? The presentation is collaboration post with the client. You can share a collaboration post if there is no NDA. You can share a collaboration post with the client. You know that you have created this project. You can mention them, or you can, if you don't want to, you don't need to mention them. Create a presentation for the website. It's just like a Behance or Dribble thing. You can create a presentation, but it's not necessary, right? This is not necessary. You have to avoid. Let me share something with you, that the process that I'm sharing with you is the straightforward process, and this works all the time. You don't need to do extra work. You just need to get things done right? And so once you have this process, you don't need to go through headaches and telling every person what they have to do, right? They will know what they have to do. Create a social media post for this project. Again, the same thing. That's for the graphic designer. Documentary. Now, most of the agencies don't do that, but I do that because now if I have a long-term client agencies who we build a lot of website for them, then we don't need documentary. But if it's the client who is like one-time projects and they don't want the maintenance or long-term relationship, then you can create a documentary, right? Create tutorial type videos about the website. So I create everything, like even show them inside how they can edit content, how they can customize, how they can use Elementor, how they can use WordPress, how they can add services, post, everything, because we make sure that that's dynamic. We use make sure that every template is dynamic so that they can easily customize those. So documentary is must. Okay, so that's the thing. Once you send that, now it's the beautiful part. If the client has not paid the full invoice, then you can send the rest of the payment, half payment. Now believe me, if it depends on the client. If the client is educated and understands the time and value that you have provided to them, they will ask you to send the invoice. You don't have to remind them. So that's the thing. Create invoice for the half payment of the website service, and once that is complete, you can now this is the main part that you can do. I think it's the end. And okay, that's now here's a tip for the day. The tip is that offer them website maintenance for the website, right? And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like you don't have to say that okay, monthly you have to pay $1,000, $200 or $500. You can just get them into recurring, right? If the client pays you more, like we have some clients who are paying us $3,000 to $4,000 per month for a website, not maintenance, but the whole like making changes to the website, redesign work. But you can offer web design maintenance, right? And website maintenance can be $49 or maybe $30, or you can just client says I can afford maintenance. You can just say how much you can pay, right? It can be like how I started that is that I just asked the client and she says I can just pay you $6 per month, and I said yeah, okay. So once I logged in that client, right? That was my first recurring retainer. Then any kind of changes he wanted to make, because he wanted to make many changes, and he was paying me more on those adding features, right? So they become paying you, also paying you for the maintenance. So that's the best thing, and you can turn that into long-term relationship, and you can offer more services, more of subscription, etc. So I think that's a complete process. This is a complete transparent process. I didn't make any kind of changes, just opened the hard work strategy and shared the exact method. And I hope this helps you, and I think that will, because if you are getting projects, right, or if you are not getting projects, right, and you're focusing on these things, these are not the things that you have to focus on. You just use this whole method that I have shared, just apply this and just focus on the sales, right? So these are things that I have already made, and I might turn this into template, but you can tell me if you are interested in. I can create a complete, more in detail template, and I can share with you so that you can use it for agency ASAP. So that's it. I hope you have found this video helpful, and see you in the next one. Thank you.